Hi, I'm Ian Schreiber, the game designer behind the unpublished Pop Quiz, a party game for 6 to 10 players about one sadistic professor against a class of cheating students. It's a game that breaks language barriers, allowing any group of people to play as long as they know the rules, even if they don't speak a common language. And yet, it's a game that's all about communication. Let's see how it works. At the start of the game, each player is dealt a roll card. One player is the teacher. They're given a few decks of cards to assemble on their own, with the goal of devising a true-false test that allows them to fail the entire class. The rest of the players are students in the class, including one class president who's something like their leader, and one teacher's pet who is secretly on the teacher's side and wants to ensure that the class fails. Right. While the teacher is assembling the test, the students work out a set of hand signals, one for true, one for false. Thumbs up and thumbs down are the universal signals for true and false. So one proposal might be a thumbs up for then resting their chin in their hand, as they're doing now, or a thumbs down and placing a fist on the table. Meaning that if someone rests their chin in their hand, that means they're saying their answer is true, and if someone places their fist on the table, that means false. When the teacher returns, the students each receive 2 random answers, and they're told which test is being given. There are 8 different tests, making it harder for players to simply memorize the answers on multiple plays. As the teacher hands out these answers, they can also look at each student's roll card so they know who their one ally is at the table. In this case, the answer to question 1 is true and the question 5 is false. You would be the only one who knows these 2 answers, but you also know that no matter what you're asked, someone else at the table will know the answer to it if you don't. During the entire game, there's no talking. It's a test after all. One by one, the teacher chooses a question number at random and places that number in front of any student player. That player then has 15 seconds to give a thumbs up or thumbs down to represent true or false. Within that time, each other student can give one hand signal, above the table and in full view of the teacher. One of these is the true signal for the correct answer. The others are meaningless and serve to confuse or distract the teacher. If time expires, the question is automatically counted wrong. Otherwise, the teacher puts the card upright if the student answered correctly, or sideways if incorrect, so that everyone can always see the running total score. If the student got asked one of the 2 questions they already know, then they lucked out and could just answer. But even so, they might pause anyway just to throw the teacher off. After a question is answered, if the teacher thinks they've figured out one of the hand signals, or just thinks one of the students is acting a little too suspiciously, they can accuse that one student of cheating. If that student was in fact dealt the question being asked, then they're caught cheating, and at the end of the game, both of the questions they were dealt will get revealed and turned into wrong answers, even if they were answered correctly. But if the student was falsely accused of cheating, then at the end of the game they reveal their questions, and both of them are turned from wrong to right, even if they were answered incorrectly. After each student has been asked exactly 2 questions, and any cheating accusations are resolved, we see if the final score is high enough. The threshold depends on the number of players. If the students fail, they get one chance to pull out a win anyway. They get one last 15-second timer, again silently and with no communication other than staring intently. And then each one votes on who they think the teacher's pet is, the person who is working to sabotage them, by pointing at someone else. When time runs out, whoever has the most people pointing at them reveals their role. If there's a tie, or if the students failed to find the teacher's pet, then the teacher and teacher's pet win together. Otherwise, the rest of the students win. In this way, the teacher's pet has plenty of opportunities to sabotage the class or pass information to the teacher, but they have to be very careful not to do this in a way that throws suspicion on them. Usually the game's very close, with the students being within one question of the threshold one way or the other, leading to a very tense endgame situation. Credit for the original idea behind this game goes to Kevin Carmichael of Dancing Giant Games, who developed the original prototype on-site at Protospiel 2018. The original design goal was to create a social party game that could be played with deaf, hard of hearing, and hearing players, even if some players didn't know sign language. I've since extended that to try to make the game as language independent as possible.